Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the Meteor75 Pro 2. This is with the DJI-04 Air unit that has the ultra wide camera. It's got a way bigger field of view at 159 degrees, but it is heavier than the previous smaller camera. And this is quite a fairly versatile quad, and I've got all sorts of flight footage that we're going to look at in order for you to decide whether this quad is for you. So stay tuned if you're truly interested. On my scale, it weighs 42 grams, and these are the batteries that fit, and I will have the flight times when we get to those flight styles on the screen. It might be a Meteor 75, but it's 80 millimeters motor post to motor post. The motors are 1102, 21,000 kV, and on those motors are Gemfan 45 millimeter tri-bladed props. Flight controller is the Matrix 3-in-1 HD flight controller, and it does have a connector down on it right there. You can see the little white part there. As we've been seeing more and more, no USB port, but we do have motor connectors. It's beta FPV, so they use their BT20 connector. In the box, we got extra props. We got our dongle adapter to connect USB-C to our flight controller, as well as 2 extra grommets for the soft mounting and a couple extra motor mounting screws. Got a support card. It came with an 04, so you get the manual. That's it, not a single sticker. Starting off with my favorite flight, we're gonna be working kind of in backwards order because this is not how I take them out of the box and test them. I usually do my flight time testing, my smooth or cruisy sort of flights. I'll do that first so that we can look at them in kind of the pristinest prop condition that they have out of the box, so you can diagnose the stabilization of the video. And we've got all sorts of flight footage to look at, so we'll see it in various winds, inside, outside, different flight styles, the whole gamut here, because I think it's a fairly versatile quad. You might not be looking at this only as like a slow cruisy exploratory smooth filming sort of quad. Obviously it's fairly capable of flying more aggressively. I'm sure someone with better skills than I have could fly it even better inside. But I was surprised at this weight, 42 grams. It's not light when it comes to whoops, and being 80 millimeters motor post to motor post, that decreases your margin for error. Yeah, pretty capable inside. I really didn't have any great struggles flying it inside. Probably one of my biggest struggles was just picking out a flight to show, really, because I always like to kind of dig through stuff. This particular flight does not have a crash. I was just looking at all this different flight footage and I decided to go with this one. I don't think I have a crash in this one. I should mention that our son is home from college. I don't think I've talked about that in any of the videos. This is the first summer he's come home from college, so he was able to transfer his work here. I decided to take the summer off and not take classes, and so he's just been working and helping us out around the house, and we set him up in the basement as kind of a bachelor pad down here, so he's got all of his stuff, but he'll be heading back to school soon. The next flight that we'll be looking at after this flight is going to be this same sort of flight style, but more freestyle with more maneuvers, let's say, outside in relatively calm winds. And then we'll also be looking at the slower flights, as I mentioned. And I have one kind of noteworthy crash that I certainly want everybody to see, so you can get a full gamut. I have some other crashes I can put together in a crash reel when we're talking about the construction and dealing with the grommets and the canopy. I will spoil it. The way they have designed not only the frame but the canopy, it's much easier to put the grommets in this style than it is otherwise, and I didn't find it came out excessively either. I mentioned that one crash that was noteworthy where I had complete separation between the camera and the base of the quad, and they ended up 7-8 feet apart. And I've got a picture of their locations too, because it landed onto the pool cover. And so we'll get to all that as we work our way through, and I do that. I take my time to make sure that anyone who's truly interested in one of these products, I can help you get the best possible idea of what sort of product you're getting yourself into. Now, of course, if you're real new, flying inside is not easy and it takes time. So go slow. You've got camera angle adjustment, flatten that camera angle out. Start with angle mode if that makes, I'm flying in acro, so no self-stabilization as far as the quad goes. So start slow and you'll get there. 301 on the flight time, and our battery is at over 3.5 volts, so good shape there. It is hot, hot, hot. We had a heat wave come through town. 99 degrees, heat index 121. And in this video, I have a slippage of my fingers. It's I think it's right around like the minute 50 mark, something like that. And I say it, and you can hear it from my flight audio camera that's sitting on the table. You can hear me go, whoops, my fingers slipped. I guess I talk to myself. probably as much as I talk to anybody else. But again, they are a capable quad. I thought it flew pretty well. I do know that, you know, if you're getting into this hobby, open prop, if you're comparing like for like, you know, same battery, that you're going to be running the same battery cells, same prop size, similar weights, that like for like, open prop is going to outperform and be more efficient too, so it'll have longer flight times than our closed prop. But on the other side, closed prop is oftentimes seen as safer. It's also potentially something that where you can save damage to your motors and maybe go through less props. Some people just prefer the format, but generally speaking, and it's almost uniformly true, open prop is going to outperform, especially when it comes to speed and freestyle sorts of maneuvers. But I didn't think I had any troubles. There is a fair bit of technique, and I think you can see in a few times, specifically when I do the power loops over the trees that kind of hanging over the yard, that sometimes I do a better job than other times of coming in and getting my timing right to where I'm up and over the tree and I'm going to start pitching up to come out of the vertical move, and I need to bring the throttle up. I oftentimes think of feathering it up, and then there are other times that I have to just go faster because I get asked about tuning these, and I don't tune these things out of the box. Generally speaking, the manufacturers do a pretty good job with tunes, and I don't consider myself a master tuner that's going to do any better job. Tunes can be a PID tune when I'm saying tunes, not songs. PID tune can be somewhat personal. There's a point where you want a certain sort of feel to your PID tune, so maybe that's what some people are actually asking for, but I'm just not a great tuner anymore. I used to be much better, but it's been many years, and back when we had to PID tune all the quads that we were reviewing because the manufacturers didn't put a PID tune on anything, and Betaflight was really catered towards 5-inch quads, we had to do PID tunes, so you had to spend a lot of time flying and testing, just getting a reasonable PID tune. My skills were much better then. But when it comes to PID tuning these things, no, I don't. I do use my own rates that I've been using for many years. I have that linked in the video description if you want to know what those are. Then I set up my radio so that my switches and the mode stuff that we use in FPV are on the sticks or buttons that I use on my radio. And that OSD, that's the other change I make. So otherwise, I'm flying these things pretty much out of the box, other than what I would consider a prototypical setup for anybody who buys quads. So hopefully that clears up that sort of question, because PID tuning these, that question does come up every once in a while. 304 on the flight time, 347, 46.
Oh, not 6.7 again. Oh, okay, 6.5. 6.5.
Not so hot this time. 88 degrees. Winds are 7 to 10 miles an hour, and I am going to go up above the trees. That's not something I often do, but I thought it was important to highlight that, you know, I've got some wind. I'm going to be testing the video stability and the soft mounting that we've got on this quad, and I'm going to be running it up above the trees so I can get kind of the full force wind. Currently, we are looking at the goggle view, so this is the raw camera footage, no stabilization processing. This is the DVR, as we like to say, so you can tell that by the Betaflight OSD elements, the text on screen. And then we'll transition around about a minute over to the onboard storage recording that is gyro stabilized. You may have been hearing about gyro gate or gyro issues. I haven't really experienced that. So something to be aware. It seems as though they changed out the gyro based upon availability, and it might be too sensitive, or it might just be more sensitive than the previous one. And every once in a while, what I've seen is that you would get with Rocksteady turned on that it would kind of, I think it's a snap, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, people. You know, I'm not following that closely because I haven't found any of the quads that I've been flying to be subject to this issue. So if you're wondering about that, I haven't seen it on this quad. I haven't seen it on any quad that I have had on the channel, but that's my understanding, is that it is out there. Some people are impacted by it. I'm not sure if it has to do with those builds or older style of frames, that maybe these 04s are just too sensitive to the vibrations that come through those older style. I'm really not sure. I'm not all that well versed. But we've got a pretty good sample here of a couple of minutes of flight footage. Let's move on to higher winds. This one is 14 to 23 miles an hour, 85 degrees. So another reasonable day. Well, we had that hot spell. It was about 4 or 5 days. We had like 99, 100, 101, 102, and the heat indexes were always like 120 or above. I've talked about it, living in the Midwest, we'll have -10 and we might have 110. And we might get a 60-degree temperature swing in one day. I couldn't tell you how many times when I was coaching my son's baseball team where I left work and it would be like 65 degrees, so I'd go home, put on shorts, and by the time I got to the ballpark at 6:30 or something for a game, that it was, now 40 degrees and raining, and you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot stand this. And of course you've got, I'm the particular instance I'm thinking of, the kids were like 10, and they're skinny as a rail. They just got no fat on their bones, and they're just out there shaking like, coach, can we go home? I'm like, boys, we got to suffer through. Anywho, another flight sample in those high winds, and with the Rocksteady turned on, yeah, it does a pretty bang up job. So you got to see the goggle view, which has no stabilization, as well as the onboard recording, which does have stabilization. I kind of fly closer to the trees. When you're flying these little guys in wind, you do have to be careful about them suddenly pushing you into a tree. That's kind of the risk I'm taking. I'm taking it because this was sent for review, but just like anything that's sent for review, the manufacturer has not seen the video before it was launched and published. There is no agreement that I signed, and they have no say in what I say or how I put together my videos. I've been doing this a long time, and I kind of have my format that I like to generally follow, and the companies don't even bother me about stuff. They don't even ask questions. Sometimes I wonder if they watch. I don't know. That's not important. I just like sharing, and I like flying a lot, so I like sharing what I find when it comes to these products. But that's another good sample. We got one more sample coming up, and it's inside. For those of you that might be considering whether this is in an indoor filming, I think the primary thing, this is daytime, even though I've got lights on. You can look out the windows and you can see that it is daytime. It's not like mid-afternoon with full sun, though. It is kind of 6 o'clock, 6:30, might even have been 7 o'clock. Let me look at the file here. 6:45 is what the time recording shows on this particular file. So that gives you an idea about the sunlight. And just like with the other slower footage, it will switch from the goggle view into the DVR view with Rocksteady turned on. I'm not especially adept at doing, indoor fly-throughs. I think you want to be around shoulder high or head high. But those of you that are asking about using a drone for indoor filming, one, I've never done that. I've never, as I said earlier, never accepted a contract or a fly for pay sort of thing. So if this video quality is what you think is good enough for your clients based upon past clients or just what you see, then go for it. I think this has a noise profile that is going to be much more tolerable than things that are only slightly bigger and running 2S, 3S, 4S, as well as just the amount of thrust that it creates, that when you get close to items, those larger, heavier quads can kind of create some air currents from the thrust that can then shift you around. Although I think it was Joshua Bardwell, I heard, had a pretty good recommendation when it came to indoor fly-throughs. Why are we using drones? He recommended, and I think he probably knows better than I do, to use like a GoPro on a gimbal and just walk with it. Now, that doesn't allow you to get some sort of out the window, out the balcony, back in the house sort of shot, and maybe that's the purpose, but I think when it comes to filming, if this quad has the image quality that you need for what you think is indoor filming, or what you need for your clients, then yeah, I think it's a pretty good solution. But I have never done that, so that's going to be all on you in deciding whether this fits your needs. Yes, we bought a new TV, and the box is there, and by the piano. I did get rid of that here with the last trash route, so that is no more. Don't worry about that anymore. Okay, that is the last little flight sample I had to show, but I do have a big crash I want to show you. This is my most dramatic crash, and it did separate the canopy entirely. And when I hit this chair, you're going to see I lose video. But here in this picture, I've circled each item, the canopy on the left and the rest of the quad on the right. Landed 7-8 feet apart on the cover of the pool, and thus that is why I fly almost exclusively with the pool cover in its place. But that was my most dramatic crash, and it also separated the two halves of the quad, which, it's not hard to put them back in. Like, I've used this tool for years and years and years, and I'll show you the part that it comes in handy. I would recommend that you put when yours separates, if you have one of these, that you put in the front one if it's come disconnected. Put that one in first because it comes in through the backside. That makes it the most cumbersome. But it has these little slots, so you just kind of I just squeezed them and then kind of pushed them, and once I got them started, I would take one of my tines here and put it in, and then just kind of drag it into the slot, and they would pop right in place. Doing all four because I had all four separated, and then I had to kind of do some cable management after I reconnected, of course. I say I was flying again in 10 minutes, less than, and that includes the little walk in through the house, maybe even a pit stop to grab a drink because it was smoking hot out. So really, when it comes to the design of having soft mounted and the ability to repair it, put it back together fairly quickly, and you do have those two extra replacement soft mounts in the package if you happen to tear one up. Of course, you could probably find the accessory bags with those in it as well. And I didn't have any frame breakages, and I've been showing you my crashes, a smattering of crashes, not all my crashes. I can never commit to showing you all my crashes because I put a lot of flights on quads before I have the video ready. In this particular case, I'm just a general, not including the slower sort of cruisy flights. 40 to 60 flights is usually what I get, and I don't think this is any exception. But no damage to anything. I didn't have any issues with the connectors. I would get some telemetry callouts every once in a while by the chimney side of the house, and I think it's because I'm running 500 hertz on Express LRS. So if I change that down a little bit, that would possibly go away. Because I've noticed that from time to time, but I don't know that I've called it out. That it doesn't actually give me the full telemetry lost alert. It's a vibration on the battery that you've got a little bit of low signal. But of course, on the OSD elements, we've got the link quality, I think it is, that's in the top right hand corner. You can always look at that as well. We do have camera angle that we have quite a bit of adjustment with these 2 points here. This is kind of the upper limit of the camera angle. You can take the top a little bit back more and this up a little bit, maybe a millimeter or two in both cases, and get a touch more camera angle. But if you're starting out, you probably want to bring that closer down to flat. I did not find at the closer to flat, and you saw it in the video footage when I was going slower, I had the camera angle not necessarily all the way flat, but somewhat flat, that I didn't see the props in view. So that's something else that those that are doing filming are probably wondering about as well. Hopefully I was able to play my crashes over there. I had a bunch of different crashes. I don't fly these things to be able to save them and resell them. I fly them to enjoy them. I did get it for free, as I said, from the manufacturer. So I fly them like I want to fly them and have fun, which I hope is closer to what you all do with your quads. You just go out and enjoy. And sometimes the crashes, especially with the little guys, they bring a smile and a laugh to my face, as long as they're not broken right in the end. So this comes in at like $74 without the 04, but I don't think you get a canopy with it either. So if you go that route, really dig hard on the Beta FPV webpage or any webpage that you might be ordering it from. If you're ordering that $74 one, and the prices may go up a little bit, they never come down, right? It obviously doesn't come with 04, but it might not come with a canopy either. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your shopping. If you are interested in this product, I will have a link down in the video description. When you get it with the 04, the price goes $238. This is what we oftentimes refer as the 04 light, which is not as light, but it does have a much better field of view now at 159 degrees versus what? It's 117. So we've gained a little bit of weight in that camera, but we got a lot more view. And that view is critical to flying inside. When it came to the old 04 air unit flying inside, I did not fly comfortably, ever. Well, slow is fine. You could do that. But when it came to my preferred kind of racing sort of style with that old 04, I never felt comfortable. I always felt like I was on the edge of my seat of losing it. I feel so much more comfortable flying with the wide camera now that we have in this and other products. But it's pretty capable, whether you want to do sort of traditional filming sort of flying, or you just want to have casual fun with it, or you want to freestyle, or, maybe you have a house like mine or a space like mine where you want to go fly with your friends and you've got a little DJI quad, whether this one or another one. With that 04 wide, indoor gets much more comfortable. Like I said, I'll link Beta FPV site down in the video description, as well as any other resellers I can find. If you live in a country and you don't see your favorite reseller, just you can't really leave it in the comments because YouTube thinks all links is spam, so it gets kind of hidden off. You can message me or email me. I have the email on the channel, and I will add those links, whether they're have an affiliate or I have an affiliate with them or not. That way you can, you and your friends in your regions can buy from your favorite shops. It doesn't bother me if you don't go from just one link in my video description that I get an affiliate commission for. That's not why I'm in this hobby. But if you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise about the Meteor75 Pro 2, please let me know down in the video description. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.